Welcome everybody. Welcome to another episode of your main man, TraderPrad. How's everyone doing? Hopefully everyone had a wonderful weekend. It's Monday. Brand new week has started and the markets are moving again. Well, probably shouldn't say they're moving because they didn't really do too much today. I mean, QQQ down about 0.5% or so. SPY was barely down today, was flat. Markets did move around though. There were so many opportunities. I'm just trying to remember. I didn't really do anything today. I just kind of watched the market, just stayed in the shadow realms. But boy, was that bad decision, because you had stocks like ARM just blasting off to the north side. It was a day 3 move for ARM. No one really, I guess, expected this coming in for ARM, but what a monster move on the semiconductor sector yet again. Everyone now, I guess, is just hunting for the next SMCI type of move. We expected ARM to do an SMCI type of move on earnings day. It did that. But then, I guess as SMCI itself did on a second day or third day to the north side, you're watching ARM kind of do that too now. So ARM going up to $160 today, basically showing you that investors, maybe I shouldn't say investors, but maybe I shouldn't say retail traders, but investors, big money, are realizing that ARM is a pretty big component, pretty big company, and they were just buying up shares without thinking blindly what their average price is going to be. That's when you see these type of big moves coming in. Also, any company taking shorts on ARM probably got their asses beat, completely destroyed to the downside on their portfolio, that is. Because ARM went to the upside. So we're watching some sort of a little bit of a short squeeze taking play, along with the fight for the price for ARM, because no one wants to get left behind on ARM. At least that's the way I'm thinking. They're thinking about this, because the way they were buying today, it's just hands over fist without thinking twice. They were just punching blindly and taking any price they get out of it. Things like this are pretty rare, but when you see these happen, it's almost as if, you know, bigger money is in play at the moment. They are looking to just accumulate size. They're looking to hold on to ARM, maybe the way they hold on to Nvidia and a bunch of other stocks over there. Along with that hype, you're watching retail push in some of the buying demand for the semiconductors over here. So obviously we're going to talk about ARM. Another sector that's been very much in play now, it's been 4 days in a row where we'd watch 4 different small caps absolutely blast off to the north side. So something has me wondering if the small cap season's back in place. So we'll talk about a bunch of small caps over here that moved around in the after hours, see if they can kind of move around tomorrow, pre-market, bring in some volume, and then bring in the excitement that we're looking for that blast off, blowout trades, as the Madass setup is. I think Madas calls it the blow off top or whatever. So those type of setups over there possibly offered to us on some of the small caps. Very, very hot sector at the moment. So we'll take a look at that. IWM up 1.82% today, whereas QQQ and the SPY are basically red. So we'll take a look at that one. And some of the stocks that already announced earnings in the after hours, such as Avis Budget, aka CAR, ANET, Zoom Info, ZI, and Waste Management. So some of the stocks are reported earnings today after hours, and the stocks that will report tomorrow pre-market, such as Shopify, Datadog, Coca-Cola, Hasbro, QSR, which is a restaurant firm. So we'll take a look at that one. And as we always like to have a really big watch list, so we also have a bunch of stocks that are reported last week. Most of them I'm most likely just going to skim over. We have stocks from the Magnificent Seven on the watch list too. So as always, extensive watch list. We'll go through all of this watch list over here. We also have a YouTube video to watch from SMB Capital. I'm actually very interested to watch this YouTube video. I saved this so we could watch it together. So I'm excited to see what this video talks about, how we could possibly improve our trading setups and our trading patterns and always grow by 1%. That's the end goal. That's the end goal. Anything more than 1% is obviously a bonus, but let's just grow by 1% a day. That's all we need to do as traders, and compound on that. Wow, SMB Capital has been busy. They posted 3 new videos. Okay, I guess we could watch 2 of those new videos because both of them are pretty interesting to me. But let's get on with the party over here. Let's get started. We got Dieter in the chat. We got TH in the chat. How's everybody doing? Welcome. Dieter saying, what a great day today. What did you trade, Dieter? Did you have the arm long? What did you trade today? Obviously, I didn't log into Discord today. I didn't even wake up. I was just in bed. Just didn't feel like waking up. I don't know why. Just didn't feel like waking up. Didn't feel like doing anything. So I just stayed away. Dieter said he traded ARM. Ooh, let's go, Dieter. That's what I like to hear. Obviously, that's the first stock we're going to head over to start the day with today. So yeah, look at that. Shout out to you and ARM. I mean, you probably took that breakout over there, that 130 breakout or so. What was that, 130? That was 127.90, so 128 breakout. I mean, if you probably took that breakout, you never had to look back. The stock went up to 160. Insane. Is this Mr. Praddy, says CDP? No, this is Praddy's little brother, Daddy, in the call right now, baby. What's up? Okay, I sold NVIDIA, bought ARM, says TH. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, I think I saw that trend taking place today. I even expected that trend to come into play a little bit. You know, some people most likely taking profits on other semiconductors such as NVIDIA, AMD, maybe even SMCI or something, and transferring over to ARM because some of these stocks have been overvalued in a way or so, you know, overextended. They are running up into crazy prices. I mean, NVIDIA at the start of the year was what, like $200 or so? $160. At the start of the year, we were like $200, and now we're at $700. So insane boost, about 200% boost over here on NVIDIA from the start of the year. Whereas ARM, which in my opinion is a much bigger company than NVIDIA in terms of semiconductors, just now after its IPO has started catching up to that NVIDIA percentages. Until then, we've only been up 50% from IPO on this stock. So not really the same type of moves coming into ARM, but finally ARM catching up, getting blasted to the north side. And I've done some research today. I found another semiconductor stock which was a little low on the price. Maybe I should be a little bit more honest. I didn't really do the research. I was sitting on a Twitter call with Michael Noss and a bunch of other big time traders on Twitter, or should I say X, also known as X. I was sitting on an X call with a bunch of other traders. They have this weekly or every Monday, I guess, they have this Twitter call or X call where a bunch of traders sit and they kind of give out predictions or their stock picks. It's just a competition, kind of. You're just kind of fighting for stock picks. In that, I heard someone mention AMSC, American Superconductor Corporation, which recently announced earnings, popped up to the north side, and now we're watching it pop up to 15% to the north side, most likely just kind of sympathy trading with ARM and you know, other retail traders looking for a possible bleed of valuation into other semiconductors going into from what we've been watching with the help of Nvidia, SMCI, AMD, and so on. So AMSC over here popping up to the north side has caught my interest, because if this one wants to join the party too, then I want to be involved in it. So we got this one on the watch list for today, along with ARM, and then obviously the two major ones that we always like to keep a look at, which is Nvidia and AMD. So why don't we get started with ARM today, with it's finally making, or not finally, you know, it did make an all-time high on the earnings day itself, but now making another new all-time high. Big bump to the north side, 164 coming into play. Today's range is a little crazy too. For us to expect ARM, you know, trading above 164 tomorrow will be a little crazy. You can kind of expect what ARM did here, right? You can see how that candle is equivalent to that candle. It looks exactly the same. The bottom, the top, the wick, everything looks exactly the same. So I am expecting almost a similar day 2 move over here. If this was to be day 1, although this is the day 3 move, if this was to be day 1, I'm expecting almost a similar move over here on ARM taking place within its range, somewhere between here to here. So I'm expecting about a 7% intraday range on ARM. Could just possibly be a red day on itself too, but not really breaking the patterns. For us to be kind of cautious as to where the supports should start building into the stock, I'd say the earnings day high comes into a major play over here around 126.50. If the stock is around 126.50 tomorrow and not bouncing, that's going to be a big question as to are the buyers still very aggressive as they were off the open today or not. So you want to see those buyers fighting for it. But more importantly, if the buyers from today are important, then you kind of don't want to see the stock under today's VWAP, basically around 140. So 140 will be the first area of importance for me. If today's VWAP does not show buying, if 141 to 140 area does not show buying, then the second area of interest could be around the second day of VWAP over here, which is around 132.25, which also kind of coincides with exactly that low after the sell-off starts to trigger in. So right around that low near $132, I'll be interested to see what happens on the second support range, and then the last support for me will be right around the earnings day high, which is also right around the earnings anchored VWAP. And earnings anchored VWAP most likely gets caught up if ARM keeps bringing in buying tomorrow and pushes to the north side, dragging all of these anchored VWAPs to the north side along with it. But if ARM is not able to hold 140, then the earnings anchored VWAP most likely going to be flatlining around 123.50, and if ARM is actually going down, the earnings anchored VWAP most likely going down with it a little bit lower too, or actually might get dragged up a little bit based on how much of volume we're trading and where we're trading on the stock. So my expectations on the stock is honestly holding this area. If this area does not hold, then I want to at least see this area hold, and at that point we can look for a long over here or a long over here, get involved in a move back into 164, at which point I'm expecting selling to come back in. Looks like the stock didn't even spend much time above 160. It just immediately got slapped under 160 the second it got above, making a little bit of a peak above 164. So monster move on the stock, insane. But you know, expecting another same move tomorrow will be insanity. But join the trend. Join the trend. The trend is to the upside. Unless the trend breaks, you have no reason to jump out of it. So support areas 140, 132. And then I have 126.50. As for resistances, I think, you know, you could use, depending on where the stock, where's my cursor? Depending on where the stock opens in pre-market, depending on where the stock goes into the off the open, I'm expecting most likely we trade between these two anchored VWAPs tomorrow, kind of giving us an anchored VWAP pinch breakout. For those of you who have read the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe we get a little bit of an anchored VWAP pinch breakout over here, and then we can take the long back through 140. But the point is, if we're between 140 and 132.20, then the support that we have at 140 will become resistance instead. So might have to put in the resistance levels in pre-market depending on where the stock trades around, and just wait for it. Wait to see what happens right off the open. You don't need to just punch into a trade off the open just because Prad said 140 needs to show support. If the stock is showing at 140, just wait, give it about 5 minutes, see what happens. One of my most favorite setups out there is the opening range 5-minute breakout. If you take the opening range 5-minute breakout, make sure you're using the appropriate stops and so on. So ARM, looking for, tomorrow will technically be day 4, but looking for another day 2 type of move if possible, because in my opinion today was day 1, right? The way it moved today, the way the volume came in today, although today's volume off the open was nowhere equivalent to the opening volume of the earnings day, you can see how much more volume the stock brought in off the open on the earnings day. 800,000 shares off the open. Today we brought in only 300,000, well, I should say 400,000, rounded up a little bit, 400,000, about half of that opening volume interest coming into the stock today compared to the earnings day, but a way bigger move. A lot of people who are possibly short here and here getting burnt out, and then the people who really want to buy this position just buying the shares without thinking twice because they just want to be involved in it. So tomorrow I want to see whoever punched the stock above 126.50, how did they behave on the way back down? Are they getting scared and shitting themselves, or are they willing to buy more? And you want to see them buy more at these two prices in my opinion. So I'm watching those two prices. AMSC. Let's go see how this one moved today intraday. Clearly a big move, 15% pop to the north side. Usually the stock does a very muted move, about $1 ATR, 90 cents ATR. I'm guessing that 90 cent ATR honestly came in a little bit from today's move. Most of the time the stock does about 20 cents. That's 20 cents. That's, well, my magnet is fucking shit up. Hold up. Yeah, it's about 50 cents over there. That's about 80 cents over there. That's about 30 cents. That's about another 80 cents, $1.66. So there you go. As you can see how the ATR slowly keeps increasing, but so far the stock has been basically stuck in 50-cent ranges or so. But the last 2 days, we've kind of had almost $1 moves on the stock, so 2 ATR moves, and it's getting a little excited. You can see how it's pushing into this $14 area, and that $14 area, like a little bit above 14, right around this 14.50. You can even maybe say 15 has a little bit of resistance. If the stock is able to clear through that, then we have room all the way up into $17, $18. So a lot of room over here to play with on this position. Interested to see if we can get above 14.50, at which point, you know, possibly looking for a little bit. Oh, my magnet's turned off. Let's turn that back on. That way we can magnet this pin. There we go. If we can break out of 15 to the north side, then we could have some fun. If the stock dips into 13 and holds 13, maybe we could look for some dip buys over there. But if it's not holding 13, then I'm kind of turned off on the position. That you know, today's move doesn't really mean much to me. It does have a little bit of an increase on volume today compared to normal, but you know, if it's not holding 13, then it doesn't have any value to me. So I need to see 13 hold, which is today's high. And if we're already above 13, going into 14, going into 15, then I want to see 15 breaking and holding as support. If 15 breaking and not holding as support, then that's a clear indication for a look for a failure back through short to the downside. So my resistance is 15, my support is 13. We could stay on the same semiconductor sector here, or we could go to the more fun small cap sector if you guys are interested. But yeah, you know what? Let's stay with the semiconductor sector since we are with that sector already. ARM and ASMC. The next one over here of interest for me is AMD. Honestly, not as of interest compared to ARM or AMSC because they're at much better levels in my opinion. AMD is also at the all-time highs, kind of struggling at the all-time highs. And one thing that stands out to me right off the bat is a little bit of a pennant forming over here. You could even say, you know, no, you can't say a symmetrical triangle, but like a little bit of a smaller time frame pennant and a longer time frame pennant coming into play over here on AMD. The market's very bullish for the stock. Obviously, it's very hot, very bullish. That means, you know, just play with the trend. Don't really try to go against the trend. So at this point, you're looking to buy on the dips, buy on the pullbacks, right? Buy on the dips, buy on the pullbacks to the south side, and see if the buying can continue to prop the stock to the north side and take it back to another all-time high. You could do that, or you could just wait for the breakout to come in and then wait for the breakout to actually show confirmation. For example, it breaks out, pulls back, shows you support, and then starts going higher, at which point you can go long somewhere here with the stop somewhere down there. Or you can just be that monkey trader who just takes the breakout, and then you gotta have a stop though at the lower trend line break. So you gotta have the stop somewhere down over here. You gotta make sure you do that. The reason why we call that monkey is because you're just taking the breakout. You don't know if the breakout is false breakout or not, if the buyers are still with the trade or not. So that's why you want to wait for the breakout, a pullback, to see if supports come in and build back in, allowing you to look for that long, at which point now you have a defined actionable stop to play off of. So that's what you're waiting to see on AMD. Hence, I am not really that excited to touch AMD at this point. We're also seeing a lot of moving or shifting of value, portfolios, money, whatever you want to put it. Shifting of money in the semiconductor possibly coming into play because of these other semiconductors blowing up. A lot of people probably feeling the FOMO of missing out on Nvidia are probably going out there trying to catch the SMCI type of trades on other semiconductors, as AMSC is what we just saw. A lot of people on Twitter are also going out of their way looking for the next SMCI move. Everyone just wants to replicate instead of going out of their way and putting in the hard work and making their own playbook, making their own setup. I understand if it's working, why fix it? Monkey see, monkey do. It's been the best strategy out there in the world forever. So if they can replicate another strategy in the same way, it makes sense. I like how the higher end of that trend line is exactly where AMD basically struggled into. Look at that, right? The higher end of that that pennant actually got put in on that marker, on today's marker. So if we ignore the today's marker, you can see how we kind of pulled a little bit above that trend line and then rejected into that 177.50. This is why I always say horizontal levels are way more important than diagonal levels, because when you're putting a price, when you're putting an order, your order goes at a horizontal level. Price is horizontal, not diagonal, right? Your order goes on a horizontal level. When a big buyer is buying, he's buying or selling at 151.95, let's say. That's why this 151.95, or what is this, 150.84. That's why this 150.84 area came into play twice on this move over here on AMD. That horizontal seller is way more important than this diagonal buyer for that time period. And then when the horizontal seller got evaporated, more buying came into play. Then we break out and start going to the high side. However, the diagonal trend lines do help you understand the trend, the momentum, what direction it's going into, and to see if a buyer who was previously active is still active with this position anytime a dip comes into play. That is a great way to take a look at it. But another great way to take a look at that is to actually put in the anchored VWAP. So if you can see how I put in the anchored VWAP over here from that earnings move on AMD, you can see how it basically bounced exactly off the anchored VWAP, right? Exactly off that anchored VWAP. So not much science over there, basically showing you that the buyer who initiated this move was with the move until we broke the all-time high on AMD, and now they've kind of backed off a bit. They're waiting to see what they want to do next. If my guess is valuable, then I think they're fuck off with these sticky keys. If my guess is valuable, then I'm guessing they're possibly waiting somewhere into the previous all-time high area, which is showing some buying right now anyway. So 160. Good, don't fuck with my keys over there. Which is showing some buying anyways, and which is exactly what we want to see for AMD. Nvidia also seeing a lot of people sadly moving off of the stock today. You would expect stocks like Nvidia to join the party when stocks like ARM are just ripping to the north side. But doesn't seem to be the story over there. Nvidia also retracing a little bit. However, Nvidia looks a lot better compared to AMD on the daily chart. So there could be a chance to, maybe catch the dip still and still continue with the trend line. Let's draw the trend line over there. Catch the dip still continue with the trend line before Nvidia creates that pennant or that pizza slice triangle pattern that we were looking at on AMD. So Nvidia looks like it's not done yet. However, AMD looks like it's kind of deciding what it wants to do. So both of those stocks over there, just going to leave them in the sidelines. I'm going to worry about what I want to do with ARM and AMSC tomorrow. Granted, AMSC has volume. That right there is a semiconductor sector. Now, we have the small cap, low floats, absolutely going off. I mean, here's your IWM marching back to 200, holding 200 as support today, and finally going back into that 205 area. So IWM looking like it wants to break out. It wants to join the party with QQQ and the S&P 500. Very, very bullish indication for the market over here, I guess. I don't really know what that means, but it makes me happy because let me just take a sip of water here. Makes me happy because it means, time to start having some fun on these markets. You're getting moves like, what was it, Hollow recently? Hollow going from $6 to overnight high of $50. I mean, that was insane, right? That was a little bit of a crazy move over here. We were talking about this move live on our Discord server. If you guys were with us, you guys probably caught some of that move. The next few days, it was dead. The next day, we had another stock. I forget what stock was it, before Hollow or after Hollow. But today, we basically had two of them. We had BMR. We had MGIH. Yeah, MG. Ooh. Okay. The water is killing me. The MGIH coming up today and BMR. So look at these moves. Previously at $2. Today going up to $34 intraday and then kind of just sucking in the after hours. Not really doing what Hollow did. And the MGIH also joining that party, opening up around $2, ripping up to $9. Not as big as BMR, but still small cap seasons in play right now, ladies and gentlemen. So you obviously want to keep these stocks on watch. You could have taken, a breakout of $5. You could have added long right around VWAP today, how the stock was holding VWAP continuously. Multiple reasons to get into the long. It actually halted, opened off of the halt, at which point one of the traders that I work with at my trading floor actually took the long right there and got out right there, then flipped short and then got out for flat. I mean, he killed the stock today. It was his best trade of the day today. So shout out to him on that one. But I am very excited to see what happens, not on MGIH or BMR. Maybe I am. If there's volume on MGIH and BMR tomorrow, maybe we can take a look at them. But I'm more interested to see what happens tomorrow on these two small cap stocks that moved around today after hours. So the market cap for CHSN is at 20 mil. The market cap for FAMI is at 8 mil. And both of them moved quite a bit. FAMI actually moved a lot more. It moved 5 million. It moved 128% with 5 million shares, whereas CHSN only moved 50% with 1.4 million shares. And CHSN also has a little bit of a lower float, actually. I thought it was the other way. CHSN has a little bit of a lower float than FAMI. FAMI has 6.2 million float, whereas CHSN has a 3.39 million float. Something I forgot to do is go check up on if these two companies have a short float. SHSN, do you have a short float? No, you don't. Short flow 0.03, so basically nothing short. How about FAMI? FAMI has 0.57. Did BMR or any of the other ones 1.16? So not really any short. MGIH, did you have any short flow? No short either. So basically none of these stocks have any shorts, but absolutely blasting off to the north side. Short flow games are very much in play. So watch out for these stocks tomorrow. Holy. Ooh. What the hell was that? But yeah, look at that $5 move in the after hour. Did BMR or CHSN do kind of like that in the pre-market? Not really. So I guess, you know, maybe these stocks die off tomorrow and don't really do what we want to see them do. But it's good to have them on the radar. We have a little bit of an idea as to what to maybe expect from these stocks. What does that anchored VWAP look like? Yeah, basically this way. Wow. So we have a little bit of an idea, I guess, what to expect from these stocks. Maybe a high of 550. If the stock gets above 550 and is showing you support above 550, then maybe there's a opportunity to get long over here. Maybe even if we get above 334 and show support above 334, and there is some good volume on the stock for us to play with, then maybe we could look for a long off of that 334 area, 330 area, and look for a move into 550, and then any move above 550 obviously gets us very, very excited on FAMI. This one is CHSN with a high of 359 in the after hours. I'm going to use that as my after hour marker. Looks like this little bit consolidation over here right around 270. Let's just say $3. I want to see the stock get above 3. Well, and then we already have 359. So yeah, we'll just wait. Yesterday's low might come into play. If yesterday's low and high come into play, then the after hour move, in my opinion, is kind of invalid, and it doesn't really matter too much. So you don't really want to see the stock down over here. You want to see the stock getting back above 3 in pre-market, and then kind of taking out the after hour high and going higher. There's a good chance that these two stocks are not even in play tomorrow, and there's going to be a completely new set of stocks that are in play in pre-market. So we have to be ready for that possibility. So be careful. Now, we have stocks that announced earnings today after hours. So let's go take a look at some of these movers. I already know ZI was a big mover because we saw it right over here on a quick glance. After hour mover, ZI 23.7% with 3.8 million shares traded after the earnings have been announced. So we already know that one, but I'm more interested to see what is going on with ANET, Arista Network, computer peripheral company. What did you do with your report? You were pretty much at all-time highs. Basically, all computer companies are almost at all-time highs right now, unless your name is Intel, because you're shit. ANET, however, reporting positive earnings and flushing to the downside, sadly. So a little bit of a drop, not really able to do what all stocks that have been doing with the positive earnings report. Not all, maybe most stocks that have been doing positive earnings report, which is continue going to the upside. This one sadly flushing. Might have to do a little bit more internal research as to what their guidance is, what their report is, but their report, from a quick glance over here, looks like they actually beat. They reported about a 22% beat on EPS and a very, very slight beat on revenue. Just according to that, ANET looks like they beat their earnings report, but possible guidance lowering coming in, maybe even the lack of a guidance, maybe something in the conference call. Really no clue what the hell is wrong with this position, other than the fact that the market makers and the overall market in general just did not like the report and hence flushed it to the downside. So now, if there are some levels to be of interest, then let's go find them out right now. So there are some areas over here, this little box that we've been trading in. Within these boxes, there are some minor levels that you can kind of pinpoint. The halfway between the box, I guess you can kind of put down there. You know what? I'm pretty happy with what I have right now. So let's go take a look at what that chart looks like on the 5-minute. Turn regular trading, extended trading back on, and there we go. Right? I'm pretty happy with the lines that I've drawn out. I'm expecting buying to show up in this area because the report was good. But how the market moved and how the stock moved, there's a good chance that we just got another flush to the downside on ANET, sadly, at which point you're looking for shorts to be involved in. I'll be waiting to see how the stock trades in pre-market, at which point maybe we can map out some levels to be of interest at. But right now, the clear move is to the downside, and we're waiting to see if this previous range can show us some supports that can get built into. The earnings report was very, very positive, so I'm expecting more positive moves to come in. The previous earnings anchored VWAP comes in at 235.43. I don't think we go all the way down there in one day. The stock does have an ATR of about $8. So an $8 ATR with an average 30-day volume of 2 million shares. You might see an extra elevated ATR tomorrow, an extra elevated extra elevated volume and an extra elevated ATR tomorrow. So be ready for that. But it'll be interesting to see if the stock can show buying right into these areas or show selling in these areas. I have the 50-day moving average right at 250. The 50-day moving average and the 100-day moving average right over here. So the 50-day moving average coming in at 248.56, let's say 250. The after-hour move was exactly at 255. Maybe the stock has a little bit more room down to 250 to show some buying. We could wait for 250 if the stock does go down there. So I'm going to put down some support levels here for myself. The after-hour low of 255, right around where this 50-period EMA is, which is 248.56. I'm gonna drag it up to 250 a little bit. I'm gonna round it up to 250, nice and flat, even dollar. Let's see what happens over there, but I am going to annotate it by putting 248.56. Most likely that 248.56 number changes a little bit higher or a little bit lower based on how the stock trades in pre-market tomorrow. And as for resistances, basically this little box high, what is that? This little box high coming in at 270. Exactly what I thought it would be. Wow. 270. Most likely expecting that area to come into some resistance. Something that stands out to me is even after the after-hour move, the yesterday's anchor VWAP and today's anchor VWAP right around over here, showing you that really not a lot of volume traded for this downside move to come into play. So part of me has me wondering if the stock will reverse tomorrow and actually gap close and turn positive. But we might have to do more research on this one. You know what? Let's go do that research. We don't have anything better to do. I'm trying to save myself some time by not having to look up the report over here on stream, but I don't have anything better to do. Let's go look up the report. Where are you? Okay, there you go. And we're going to do this. Copy. We're going to come over here on ChatGPT. Why is my caps lock on? Okay, Arista Networks reported blah 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 blah, a 20% increase year over year, beating the consensus estimate. Quarterly revenue were okay, we know that. CFO expressed excitement about driving Arista 2.0 products and technology for enterprise cloud and AI customers. Company provided Q1 revenue outlook in the range of slightly below estimates. So there you go. That's part of the reason why the company pushed down. So they are slightly below the estimates. I mean, they're in range. They're in range. The estimates is 1.53. They're reporting a range of 1.52 to 1.56. The fact that they said 1.52 kind of might have scared out the investors and the traders. Hence, we saw a little bit of a down move over there. But that's an overreaction in my opinion, if you ask me. I'm looking for a little bit of a reversal tomorrow. You already saw the stock hold 250 beautifully twice. Once over there, sorry, should I say 255? Once over there and once over here, holding 255 twice and pushing back up. Still seeing a little bit of a selling into 265, but I think this is pretty bullish for me how the report is coming out. Arista anticipates Q1 adjusted gross margins to be approximately 62%. Management will hold a conference call, blah 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 blah. Arista shares, however, traded down 5.3% to the downside at the time of the report, which was around 4:18 p.m. So shout out to Benzinga for helping us out with the earnings reports over here every single day. If you want to use amazing products such as Benzinga, they don't only have news, they have other like amazing tools such as scanners, signals. You can even chart in here. So if you're looking for an amazing tool to help you with all things news and trading, go check out Benzinga in the description down below. Thank you, Benzinga, for sponsoring the stream. So let's continue with the topic over here. ANET looking pretty decent for me for a reversal. So if I see buying coming in at 255 or 250 on any sort of a flush to the downside, I'll get into it. If the stock gets above 265, right around where this anchored earnings VWAP is, 265, it's 264. But if we can get above 265 and show buying above 265, I'll be pretty interested for a possible long opportunity through that back into yesterday's low, which is around 280, right? So look for that opportunity over there on ANET. Next stock that's reported earnings today, Waste Management. Very, very light on volume. I actually didn't even put in the anchored VWAP because at the time that I was, looking for the stock to do something, it didn't really do anything. But it looks like the report came out a little bit later. So let's put in the anchored VWAP for the earnings move. There is the earnings anchored VWAP, clearly pushing into 195, 196 areas over here. Let's zoom out to the daily chart. Is Waste Management at all-time highs? Sheesh. 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 I mean, that's insane. Waste Management is at all-time high. Who it's still Waste Management. I thought it was green for life. Okay. They don't serve my area, but they serve like buttfuck Windsor, Ontario. Yeah, I guess Waste Management still has their deal with Brampton. Oh no, there you go. Liquid locations? What the hell is a liquid location? Sounds gross. I don't even want to know about it. I don't care. I'm just trying to see if Waste Management still picks up garbage in my area or if it's green for life. GFL, which is their ticker on New York Stock Exchange. Yes, New York Stock Exchange and the Toronto Stock Exchange. I've been seeing a lot more GFL trucks in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. That's why I was kind of doing a little bit of a research over there. But no, Waste Management, shout out to them. They probably still pick up a lot of American waste and so on, near all-time highs. So clearly a lot of companies and still very much in service. This little peak over here, this previous all-time high now turning into support. I guess that level shouldn't even come into play at the moment because we're into absolutely ridiculous territories. That previous all-time high area is right at 175. Now the new all-time high right around 190, and if you even put in today's all-time high coming in at 196. So the fact that the stock, let's go back to the 1-year chart actually. Let's go back to the 1-year chart. The fact that the stock took out that high right there, which is at 190.50, is a level that I want to kind of see if it can come back into play. Honestly, don't think this level comes back into play. 190.50, it shouldn't come back into play. And if it does, it should just bounce right off of it and not even kind of go under 190.50, right? So expecting the stock to show some bullish power tomorrow to the north side. Could be very slow, could be very, very boring to trade, could be very spready also. The volume on the stock is 1.5 million on a 30-day average, so could be very slow, could be very spready. Just be careful with it. I think, being patient for stocks like this will pay you. Look for the dip buys. Don't just take the breakouts. Taking breakouts on a spready stock is never worth it, in my opinion. So just be careful for that one. So Waste Management, 190.50. If that dip buy comes in, mamma mia, just buy it without thinking, in my opinion. Obviously, everything I said is not financial advice. The stock's ATR is $2. So if it does dip into 190, it'll be harder to expect more than 193. But let's say the stock is trading around 192, 193, it would still be a little bit crazy to expect more than the after hour high of 196, 197. So I'm going to use that 196.80 to 197 as my resistance marker on Waste Management, whose ATR once again is only $2. So maybe we see a $2.50 move tomorrow, a little bit of an increase on ATR, not too much. Another stock that reported earnings today, Avis Budget Group, announcing earnings, but sadly flushing to the downside. This stock I'm not really too excited to trade at all. There was a moment in time where the stock was very, very fun to trade. That's when it did this squeeze of a move, the Volkswagen squeeze, I want to call it, where it went from, a normal price into ridiculous prices. Ever since then, it hasn't really done anything fun like that. I guess it did a little bit, but never again. The earnings report obviously coming out negative, flushing it to the downside. The 30-day volume is very, very low on Avis car budget, so I'm just generally not interested to look for a trade on the stock. The earnings report is positive. Looks like they did beat, but very slightly. 77 increase. What? 77% beat on EPS, but only a 1.48% miss on revenue. So pretty good earnings report. The guidance probably came in pretty bad, but monster beat on EPS. Still not interested in trading the stock tomorrow unless I see 1 million shares by 10 o'clock. If this stock is not already doing 1 million shares by 10 o'clock, 10:30, I really don't want to be trading the stock, because I can see I have traded the stock before, and I know how spready it can easily open up, especially if there is no volume on here. So car, this on the back burner, not something of too much importance for me. Tron Anon on Rumble. Ooh, let's go check that out. Tron Anon on Rumble. Oh, all my links. What's this? Ooh, 9,000 followers. Game-changing Midnight Rider. Meme. Pray. What do? Do you trade? Huh. I gotta check your Rumble out. I'll check your Rumble out after stream. But thank you for the fire emojis. Pretty cool. I love meeting other streamers and so on. Dieter, AMD bounced 2x on the 21 DMA today. 2 times? Not once? 2 times? 2 times? Let's go check it out. Yeah, and then it broke, I guess. Yeah, once, twice. Kinda broke 9 but closed above 9. Tried to hold 21 and then just failed. Yeah. Oh, not today. Are you talking about on the daily? Ah, you're talking about the daily. On the daily. Yes, on the daily, the 21 is bouncing. You are correct. That's exactly where my two lines are on the smaller time frame too. Bounce and bounce. Bounce, 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 bounce. Yeah, so we do have a pennant on AMD. I think when this line matches up with this line over here, that's called a pennant. But because we don't really have a candle here to kind of draw the line off of right there, I think that would be called not a pennant, a symmetrical triangle. But because we don't have a candle here to pin the marker off of, this is called a pennant. And then we have an even bigger pennant playing out. So if the smaller pennant plays out, the bigger pennant still has to play out for it to trigger a bearish trend. The bearish trend has a lot of room to still kind of solidify, is what I'm saying. So just wait if you want to short. We were talking about Zoom info, however, and we still have, I mean, look at the amount of stocks we still have on board. We just finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stocks so far. Thankfully though, all the rest of the stocks, we don't really want to trade them. We're just kind of skimming through them to find some interesting levels to keep an eye out for, to see if they go to those levels, and then maybe we can make a decision off of. So thankfully those won't take too much time. Let's go to ZI, which is insanely to the north side. We already know it popped up, so let's go take a look at the earnings report. I'm also going to pull up Benzinga one more time. Go to Zoom info, get that report for me. Copy paste, and we'll head over to this bad boy. What the fuck? What the fuck? Okay. Zoom info reported Q4 earnings of 26 cents per share, surpassing the analyst. Just give me one of them, I don't care. Surpassing the analyst estimates of 25 cents by 4%. Quarterly sales were up 4.87, reflecting a 4.87 increase year over year. Okay. CEO Henry, strong year-end results, better than expected sequential revenue growth and continued profitability and free cash flow. Company introduced Copilot, an AI-powered solution aimed at enhancing go-to-market strategies by providing recommendations on whom to contact, whom to engage, and who to stay across channels. Okay. Anticipates Q1 between 115 and 117. I don't see estimates. I would like to see the estimates, okay, but we don't see estimates. And the EPS between 23 and 24. Fiscal year 2024, 492. I got a message. 492 million and 502 million with an EPS of this, okay. Technologies. Technology surged 19.2% of the after-hour trading at, yeah, okay, so that we all know already. Doesn't really seem that bullish to me. Is there anything that I'm missing here? Doesn't seem that bullish to me. So this move over here is a little crazy if you ask me overall. I mean, at the end of the day, right now we're seeing clearly a little bit of support forming in at $19. The anchored VWAP is also flatlining at $19. We have a high around $20.60, but you can see how this range is right between $19 and $20. So if tomorrow pre-market we're seeing the stock well above 20, kind of even into 21, then possibly you're using this $20 area of support. The anchored VWAP probably also catches up into $20, but if the stock is ranging between 90 and 20, which is exactly what I want to see. I want to see that range in pre-market between $19 and 20, let's say 20.60 even. Make a little bit of a range here in pre-market, at which point all we have to do is take the breakout of 19 to the downside, or take the breakout of 20.60 to the upside, or whatever the pre-market high is. So for me, these are the two important prices right now that I will be watching carefully to see what the stock does. Right around $19. So let's go back to my Notion. 19 support, and then 20.60 as my resistance. I would love to see how the stock trades within that box. So far though, right off the report, I am not too bullish off the report. Let's kind of zoom out on the hourly chart and see what more levels would be of interest for us. Something that stands out right off the bat: 17. The stock's at 19, Prad, so let's kind of forget about that. 1939. That makes sense. That makes sense why the stock was kind of chopping around 19 and 20. Whoa. 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 You guys see what I'm seeing? And this is why you zoom out when you are in doubt. So basically, the stock gapped down quite a bit on two earnings report before the current earnings report. Gapped down quite a bit from $25 to what looks like it was exactly today's after hour high, and ever since then we kind of kept flushing into $12, now moving back up with the earnings report exactly into that price point, which is pretty interesting, exactly what we want to see sometimes. So at that point, you know, that 2060 2070 area is even more important to us now. That 2060 2070 area is even more important to us just because of that gap fill. Not expecting Zoom Info with that garbage report that we just saw to kind of break this area, but if it's actually breaking this area on that garbage report, then it's even more bullish, and someone's really want to soak the like shares and just buy up all the shares, at which point just get long. So clear support into 19, clear resistance into 2060 to 2070. If the stock is above that, I don't know where the stock could go after that. I mean, there is a gap fill play that you could look for. I don't think that gap fill is coming in tomorrow, though. The stock's ATR is 62 cents. So I don't think we're seeing that gap fill come into play tomorrow. But there are some fun opportunities to the upside, at which point we could be involved in for Zoom Info. So stay tuned for that. Now, a couple of stocks that report earnings pre-market: Shopify, Datadog, Coca-Cola, Hasbro, and QSR, Restaurant Brands International. Don't really care for the other ones such as Biogen, Moody's, INMD, which I think is actually a small cap. Is it not? I remember trading INMD before. Yeah, only 76 million flow. It's not even that big of a flow. It's not small cap, but it's not a large cap either. All right, so INMD reporting. Maybe we can have some fun with this bad boy too. We'll see what happens over there. But tomorrow, stocks that I am interested for: Shopify, Datadog, Coca-Cola, Hasbro, and QSR. So let me bring in my watch list screen for you and show you the times that these stocks have, what's it called? Earnings call, conference call. Shopify tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. conference call. Datadog, 8 a.m. Coca-Cola, Hasbro, and QSR also at 8:30 along with Shopify. The reason why I mentioned this for you is because I don't want you to get caught offside on the wrong side of the trade at those times. Thankfully, all those times are in pre-market, so we don't even have to be worried about it. Stocks announced pre-market. Their earnings calls are in pre-market. That means when we're looking for trades during the opening session or even during the intraday, we will most likely not get beat up randomly off a big spike from the conference call. So that's check off over there. Now that puts Shopify, Datadog, Coca-Cola, Hasbro, and QSR a little bit of a higher priority for me on my watch list. So let's get started with Shopify to see what levels we're at right now and kind of, you know, see what levels could come into play tomorrow. Shopify, the Canadian company, I called Spotify the Canadian company last time, got confused with that. No, it's Shopify, the Canadian company. I love seeing Canadian companies prosper. I'm pretty sure you guys love seeing American companies or whatever country you're in prosper too. So anytime a Canadian company prospers, I get pretty happy about that. But we can't talk about them prospering just yet. Let's wait. Not too long ago, Shopify did split from what, $1,000 a share to a way lower price. So that came into play not too long ago. Now Shopify with its earnings report ever since being positive, launching right back to the north side, waiting to see if Shopify can kind of go back to its original valuation around $100 per share or so. I think Shopify's what's it called, the PE has kind of taken a hit too from all the conversations. Well, they don't even have a PE, but their forward PE has kind of taken a hit too because of all the conversations that Shopify was dealing with on this way down during COVID and all those time periods. But pretty happy. What I think comes into play tomorrow is right around these areas. Right around these areas, high 112, 120 in the pre-market on a positive earnings report. And on a negative earnings report, I think we see somewhere down over here coming into play, right into $71. I mean, that's a pretty wide range, Prad. You sure you want to... That's a pretty wide range. You sure you want to give that big of a range expectations to your viewers? Let's go use a tool that can actually help us with this. And I'm going to log into Options AI over here. Give me a second. Huh? That was never there before. The hell? Okay. What was it gonna do? That completely confused me. That was never there before. Oh yeah, I was going to take a look at the possible move for Shopify. So let's go take a possible move for Shopify. And in that meantime, while this loads, I'll take a look at my wonderful chat. Whoa, it's Prad. Look at you, brother. Hey, Chef Joe, how you been? Yeah, I miss you, Chef Joe. Obviously, you know, can't really come to the other channel and talk to you guys over there. Will not be a good look. But yeah, I miss you. Welcome. I like to see any stock I bought go up, says John. That's very true. Unless you shorted it, then you don't want to see it go up, right? Hey, look at that. I guess my expectations weren't wrong, right? I was expecting somewhere into 100 to 110 and a low of 77. Looks like that actually is exactly a little bit of my markers. Actually, no. My marker over here was 71 and 110. And they are expecting 100 to 77. So I guess, yeah, kind of within range. I'm not unhappy with that. You know, I can accept that. They're saying basically the low of this coming into play most likely, or where's the 50 period EMA? Right over here. Somewhere around these areas expected to come most likely is what they are saying. So we'll just wait patiently. Earnings report comes out pre-market. We can chart or re-chart our stock in pre-market and then kind of look for plays off of it. Next stock, Datadog. Let's go see what Datadog is expected to come out as. Good to see you, man. Finally found you. Yes, sir. Yeah, I guess a lot of people don't know that I've been streaming here, but yeah. I've been streaming here for quite some time now. Pretty much exactly right after they fired me. So yeah, quite some time. Datadog, they're expecting a high of 151 or a low of 118 in pre-market. 151 or a low of 118. That's up here in these ranges, or a low of 118 somewhere at into this peak high. So this peak high over here. Come on, marker, stop messing with me. There you go. That peak high, or they're expecting this peak high to come into play. That's maybe a little bit too much, but they're expecting that to come into play off of the earnings move. We'll wait patiently for Datadog. Next stock, Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola expected to come in at $61 to the upside, or $58 to the downside. So let's go check Coca-Cola out. For those of you wondering what I'm looking at over here, this is basically how options are placing themselves. We're looking at an options implied expected move. It's taking a look at implied volatility. It's taking a look at the open contracts for options for the call side, the open contracts for the put side. It's using some sort of an algorithm. It's using some sort of an AI to help calculate all of this information. Sometimes I've seen these numbers come out exactly in line, especially if the earnings report is also in line and not really a big beat. But when the earnings report comes out a big beat, then obviously these estimates don't matter, because there's a bigger play over here in the stock. So right now, where Coca-Cola is closed at 59.70, they're expecting a 2.5% move on Coca-Cola. The next two stocks that we're taking a look at over here is Hasbro. They're expecting Hasbro to come out with what is the hell is this? Give me earnings. Please don't crash. They're expecting a 10% move on Hasbro. Okay, Hasbro. They're expecting a 10% move on Hasbro, either side, up or down. And last but not least, we have QSR. They're expecting a 4.1% move on QSR. So watch out for these stocks. Watch out for some fun moves. Now, we have the stocks that reported last week, basically. Stocks like Affirm, Net, PayPal, Disney. So just gonna quickly run through these stocks, see if there's anything interesting that stands out to me right off the bat. If there is, then we can possibly take a look for that. So Affirm, I don't want to do anything unless Affirm goes into this 52.48. So I'm gonna put in 52.50 area to keep on watch on Affirm to the high side. If resistance 52.50 comes into play, we can kind of play with it. Sadly, on earnings day, however, that high did not come into play. So most likely 52.50 does not come into play, at which point the stock doesn't really have a trade for me. Pinterest. Let's see where Pinterest is. Part of the reason why I'm kind of not even spending too much time with these stocks is because this is earnings day 4, day 5, day 6, earnings week 2. So usually they're not day 1 type of trades, whereas we already have stocks kind of giving you day 1 type of trades, such as ARM. You're getting ANET tonight after hours reporting. You have ZI reporting today after hours. You have Shopify tomorrow and Datadog tomorrow. So those will be the more interesting stocks to kind of go for, in my opinion. That's why these stocks over here, I'm just kind of skimming through, looking for levels to keep an eye out for. A level that clearly pops out on Pinterest over here is that low right into $35. So watching Pinterest into $35 on earnings day itself, we talked about how the stock failing to hold 40 area and stay above, sorry, not 40, but failing to stay above, was it 38? Let me go to the 60-minute time frame, turn off extended trading hours. It was, what was it? I think it was right here. Yeah, so the stock not holding this $38 area on a positive earnings report kind of indicated to me that we could possibly see more selling come into the stock. I remember talking about that to you guys. So clearly that's exactly how the stock is playing out, pushing to the downside. Now we're waiting to see how this 35 area, which is the earnings day low. It says earnings was reported on this day, but it was reported on the after hours of this day, I'm pretty sure. Pinterest. Yeah, see, Pinterest Thursday after hours. So this was actually the earnings day move, and the earnings day low was around 35. Today's low was around 35. So if the stock is showing support again at 35, beautiful long. If the stock is not showing support at 35, then there is a little bit of a room to the downside that we can kind of party with, possibly taking the stock back into $32 or even $30 over the swing term period. So watching Pinterest over here to the downside for some fun. The level on mine is 35, and it's a little more in play than a firm. It's a little bit more in play than a firm, so we're gonna color Pinterest as a higher priority than a firm. Let me quickly color a firm over here as a lower priority than Pinterest. Awesome. Next stock, NET. This one has been making some monster moves going into the earnings report, and then on the earnings report blasted off to the $100, or sorry, above $100. Now it's sadly pulling back and trying to find support. The previous level that I remember trading the stock at was right there into the $81 area, and then 86. Now we're well above it. Now we're waiting to see what happens around the $100. You can see how the earnings anchored VWAP is at 103. It's at 102.84 for those of you who are very anal about every single penny, but it's around 103 right now. In my opinion, give it a level from 103 to 100, right? The psychological level, the more significant psychological level in my opinion right now is $100 area, but the more significant derivative mathematical level that's important to me is the 103 area, which is the earnings anchored VWAP. So I'm watching anywhere from 103 to 100 to show me some supports on net, at which point we can be involved in this. However, a little bit of a lower priority, but you could find some possible good trades off the stock if it can hold 100. And if it's not holding 100, beautiful short to the downside for a possible gap close as a swing trade into 91, at which point it possibly finds buyers before 91 into 95, or at 91, at which point we close the gap. There is a hidden rule in the market that all gaps must be filled. If you catch my drift. If you catch my drift. Derek Thompson, I think the market is overextended. Time for shorts and puts. Load up, baby. He bought it. Dumpy. Well, I should turn that into an emoji. I should actually animate that and turn that into an emoji. I turned a lot of stuff into a good emojis for that stupid show. And that stupid show, man, have you guys seen what they're doing with their Instagram? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what they're doing with their Instagram. It's a joke. I'm so glad I don't work there anymore, honestly. I'm so glad I don't work there. Anyways, let's go to PayPal. PayPal, boring. What the hell am I watching here? What the fuck am I watching here? What is this? No, delete PayPal from watch list. PayPal, you go bye-bye from watch list. Adios. Next one, Disney. Okay. We have too many lines here, though. Way too many lines on Disney for me to be really be objective with this. So you know what we're gonna do? Delete everything that we don't want right now, and we're gonna repaint some of these lines. There we go. We got most of the garbage lines out of our view. Get that garbage out of there. Get that garbage out of there. Yesterday's high, yesterday's low, earnings day high, earnings day low. Those are the only levels that I really care about as an intraday trade tomorrow. Anything other than these levels don't fucking matter, period. Don't matter. You can also see how the earnings day low is actually the earnings anchored VWAP. So if the earnings day low and the anchored VWAP areas come into play, which is somewhere around 106.80 to 107, and it holds, you're looking for a beautiful long opportunity on Disney from this area. So 106.80 to 107, possible beautiful longs to come in. Now, let's say the stock is actually in the higher end of these ranges instead. So now you're looking for today's high all the way to the earnings day high to show you some sort of a rejection. However, if we are not rejecting into these areas and we are showing some buying powers coming in, possible longs over there for you to be involved in. But you know me, I'm looking for the shorts. Never a fan of Disney. I think Disney can eat my dick for all I care. I should probably not say stuff like that because I will never get sponsored and advertised by Disney. but you know, I'm a man who stands on my word. Eat my dick, Disney. Fuck you. You guys suck. Okay, let's go to Uber. Uber Duber. Gotta love Uber. Also way too many lines. It's clearly failing this all-time high area. We're above the anchor VWAP from earnings. A bunch of the indicators are still indicating momentum to the upside. The stock has been holding the 9 EMA quite a bit. It kind of got below the 9 EMA and the 20 EMA. Those are the dotted lines you're looking at, these two dotted indicators that you see on my chart. So the 9 EMA and the 21 EMA have been breached, but then kind of reverted back to showing that the buying is back in, showing you that the longer term trend is still bullish on the stock. So if that's the case, I mean, just stay with the trend, right? Just stay with the trend. There could be more buying that comes in on the lower end of these trend lines. I'm not really too interested to look for a trade off of the trend line either. There's also multiple buying flat lines at which point support can build into, so I'm not really interested to short into those levels either. I think I can just wait to make the stock, to let the stock do what it wants to do for me to decide. Clearly some sort of a resistance into this all-time high area of 73. So if 73 comes into play, maybe we can make a decision there, but I'm just not interested on Uber right now. The next stock is Roblox. Roblox also in that same not interest of a zone unless it pulls into this 47 to 47.50 area, which I don't think we are. We clearly rejected that on the second day after earnings report. We've been rejecting that area ever since November 2022. So unless Roblox pushes into 47 and $47.20, I am not looking to short. I'm not looking to short it in the middle of these ranges, basically is what I'm saying. I'll wait here for the short. I'll wait here for the breakout of the long, or I'll wait somewhere down here in the $41 for the test of the pullback and the buying to show back. So buying at the high of this range, which is 43, or at the low of this range, which is at 41, $42. I'll wait for these areas to come into play. I don't have to fight the buyers and the sellers in the middle of the range and you know, lose money for no reason. Next stock, Snapchat. Snapchat, never really want to trade it anyway, so I'm gonna move it from my watch list. Get that garbage out of here. Get that garbage out of here. All right, next one, Spotify. Spotify, it's a kind of like that same trade as a firm. You want to wait for this 250 area to come into play, or you want to wait for the dip buys to get bought up. Right now, the anchored VWAP is currently showing possible supports into this 235. I can wait for 245, 250 to come into play on Spotify. I don't think it's going to be in play tomorrow. So moving away from Spotify to Palantir. Palantir, baby, what a beauty you've been recently, sadly, after I closed my position. So fuck you, Palantir. Fuck you. However, we do have some levels on Palantir to the north side over here, right around, what is that, $26.20, $27.50, $29. So a little bit of a possible resistances to walk into on Palantir to the north side. I think you should be just patient to short it. You know, don't really think that all these levels are just resistances and you can just blindly get into a short. Wait for the stock to go higher, show you a lower high and a lower low around these areas, and then get short, right? Don't be stupid and just blindly short any of these prices just because there's a line that can be drawn from it. Wait for the selling to show up, wait for some sort of a pattern to build in, and then go short. And the same thing applies for the long. You don't need to fight for these middle of the range prices. Wait for yesterday's low to come into test, or the earnings day low to come into test, which is actually way lower. So maybe not that, but somewhere in this $23 area to come into play. We have the earnings anchored VWAP at $22, which is actually at the high of this line. which was also a price that the stock has resisted for quite some time. The 22 area was a big struggle for Palantir. So wait for this area to show up, see some buying. However, I don't think we see this area coming in just because of how straight up this anchored VWAP is, and it looks like it wants to keep going straight up. So I'm expecting buyers to continue showing up in front of $23 or $23.50 on Palantir. After Palantir, we basically have the Magnificent Seven, which is your Apples, your Meta, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, Tesla, basically your top 7 stocks of the market, your top 7 of the S&P 500 and of the QQQ baskets over here. All of them most likely at prices that you can trade out of, but should you? Probably not, right? Probably not. A lot of these stocks volumes have been kind of getting lower and lower. They have been pushing insanely to the north side, so they've been kind of decreasing on volume. I would say if you want to go and gamble on any of these positions, you should be very selective as to who you're doing it with. I would say stocks like Meta. Look at how Meta is holding after that anchored VWAP, or after the earnings breakout to the north side. So stocks like Meta, maybe Google, but Google little choppy. Google little choppy because it actually flushed to the downside. So not Google. Nvidia, always have Nvidia on the watch list. You would be an idiot to not have Nvidia on the watch list, right? Nvidia, AMD, those just automatically go on the watch list every single day. Apple, you could also put Apple automatically on the watch list, but Apple is kind of forming a little bit of a consolidation in this range. You can also call it a pennant. Maybe this is more like a flag, honestly, right? I don't know what you want to call this pattern, but Apple's forming some sort of a pattern over here, eventually to break out the all-time high. Maybe we'll wait, but Apple not really the hot girl on the market right now for us to be involved in. We got Amazon, we got Meta, we got Nvidia, we even got Tesla, right? Tesla is also a little bit more fun than most of those other stocks over there, such as Google and other stocks, because Tesla moves around in like $8 ATRs. However, I think Tesla's ATRs has been going down. Yeah, Tesla ATR has been like $9, $10. Now we're at $8.20. So ATR of Tesla has been dropping. Not necessarily a good thing that we want to see. Netflix is also a good stock to keep on watch. After the earnings report breakout, we've been kind of holding in this little range, and if Netflix wants to break out of that 580, you know there's a lot of fun over there to be had. Although I don't think it does this move in one single candle. I think if it goes to 180 tomorrow, there's a possibility to short 180 and then maybe take the 580, and then a possibility to take the 580 breakout later on in the day. But if it just one shot into 580, possible short off of that. If it kind of goes up into today's high tomorrow, and then the next day, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, kind of goes into that 580, possible breakout of 580 looks even better off of that. Right now we're holding the 9 EMA on the daily chart cleanly. I think it's holding it so well to the point where the earnings anchored VWAP actually will come in and merge with the 9 EMA and turn this flat line into a beautiful support, at which point you can look for the breakout to the upside, kind of like what MGIH did today. Kind of what MGIH did today. Go to the 5-minute chart. You can see how it held today's VWAP after breaking up, pulls back, holds today's VWAP. That's that orange line, and then rips up to the north side. Kind of like that setup over here on NFLX on a longer time frame, on a bigger time frame. So you're expecting that anchor VWAP to catch up, show some support. You look for the long right here with a small stop right under. Breakout to the upside, big move coming in. So watch Netflix. Not saying that Netflix is going to be a trade for tomorrow, but I think Netflix is something that you should not ignore for sure. Another 1,500% runner in BMR today. 3 trading days after a hollow. If it ain't interesting unless if the stock is up under 5%, straight stocks, not options. It ain't interesting unless the stock is up at least 500. God damn, I can't read. My dyslexia got me. That's right, you heard me. My dyslexia got me. Yeah, I mean, we talked about small cap earlier. We talked about BMR, MGIH, Hollow, Possible small caps to keep on watch tomorrow, such as FAMI and CHSN. So we talked about these bad boys. We'll see if any one of these get a little active for us tomorrow to be involved in, so we can go and burn some money on these companies or something. But that's basically all she wrote for today's watch list, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go take a quick look at QQQ. Very, very flat today. Didn't really do too much. S&P 500 down 0.04%. Did absolutely zilch today. We did take out yesterday's high, Friday's high, but basically ended up red to the downside. I think everyone's in that same idea that the market might be overextended. Tomorrow we also have CPI coming up, so CPI being a little bit of an important catalyst that could move the market, especially if CPI, consumer price index, comes in a little bit hotter. If CPI comes in a little bit hotter than expected, that could break the market, the rally that we've been seeing a little bit. So we want to be very careful for this time period tomorrow. I think CPI is at 8:30. So make sure you wake up at 8:30 and be ready to trade. That's 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, right? Make sure you're ready to trade at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Let's actually go ahead and show you the economic calendar for tomorrow. There you go, 8:30 a.m. core CPI coming out, and we have nothing else besides that tomorrow. You want to watch to see if this number comes out hotter or comes out cooler, weaker, hotter, whatever the terminology they use. I just hate the terminologies they use. You got to see if it comes out in line or beats estimates over there, and there's a big surprise for that, because that will move the market. If the consumer price index is going up, most likely QQQ and the SPY go down and kind of triggering a little bit of a free fall. However, here's the FOMC anchored VWAP right around 400. Nope, that's not it. Right around $427. So to expect anything lower than 427 tomorrow, which is also this consolidation high right around 430, would kind of be ridiculous in my opinion. Kind of be ridiculous. How much of a percentage of a drop is that also? That's about a 2% drop if we go down there. So I could see that if the CPI comes out bad. If the CPI comes out good, oh my god, I'm going to regret not being able to trade tomorrow. I am going to absolutely regret not being able to trade tomorrow if the CPI comes out good and the market's getting ready to blast off. Nah, it's not going to be fun. Sadly, I won't be able to trade for another 2 weeks. I'll be back to the market on the 23rd, basically the 26th. That's going to suck. Well, I mean, it already sucked today to see ARM go up like that, and already sucked to see ARM go up on the earnings day itself. So it's just more days for me to cry of not being able to trade, sadly. LEDs could be a dark horse pick tomorrow. LEDS, I'm thinking that's a stock. Hopefully, if it picks up tomorrow on earnings, or sorry, not earnings, on volume, maybe we can look at it at that point. I have way too many stocks on my watch list for now. I'm just not gonna bother looking at any more stocks, because we have to head right into the next segment for tomorrow. So, next segment for this show. I don't know why I said next segment for tomorrow. The next segment for this show, which is the learning process. So let's stop the music. Music, you can stop. Thank you. We strap on the headphones and we watch some videos from our good friends at SMB Capital. So let me just open up these videos, get them ready for us. Let's talk about get that at max volume. Okay, so a couple videos over here for us to watch. SMB Capital, you guys know already what they do. They post videos. They're a prop firm company in New York, and they are an absolute must for any trader, no matter what level you are, beginner, intermediate, advanced. They talk about concepts all the time that will help improve your trading. Maybe some of the concepts that you already knew but kind of forgot, and it gives you a little bit of a refresher. I personally love SMB Capital videos. The hands down best YouTube channel out there in terms of helping you grow your trading portfolio. Absolutely free too. So, if you are not subscribed to them, go hit that subscribe button. We're going to watch this video together right now, kind of see if there's something new that we can learn or get a little bit of a refresher ourselves.
The three top price action, technical analysis, whatever you want to call it, but we call it price action patterns that you can see for very reliable trading on a little bit higher time frame. So we're going to talk about flags, pennants.
Ooh. Oh, we just talked about pennant earlier.
They are very distinctly different, and they also provide different sorts of trading opportunities, but all three of them are high probability. They're high probability because they're so visual that a lot of people can see them on their charts. They're so high probability because of the psychology of the way that these three patterns develop. So let's start with flags. So if you're trading a flag pattern, you have to properly identify it. Identify the top of the flag first. So it's assuming we're trading it long. You're going to look for 1, 2 distinct tests on the top of a flag. Let's talk about the bottom of a flag. 1, 2, ideally 3 distinct tests on the bottom of the flag. Let's talk about the starting point of the flag. It should be a really clear, distinct point, and then the other one should also be a clear, distinct point. Flags do not necessarily come to a point. Those tend to be more pennants or wedges. Flags are kind of an upward or slightly downward sloping channel. The way to trade those is wait for the channel breakout to occur. Your stop is actually at the low of the opposite side of the channel. These are very, very good for second chance scalps.
So he's talking about some scalping strategies over here. These are basic scalping strategies for those of you who don't know. I know most of you know this already. You know, the 3 basic flags. We just talked about one of them today on AMD. On AMD, the possible pennant formation coming in. Well, he'll most likely talk about it too. So very useful to kind of watch this video right now, because we were talking about a possible pennant breakout on a longer time frame that could help us find a trade on the intraday time frame.
A lot of times they will occur on an increase in volume as well. Pennants have very distinct, with a pennant you start at the lows actually. So price comes up and you look at where.
Oh, so for a pennant, you want a flat bottom?
The lows are connected. The lows should be very distinctly flat.
So I guess this is not a pennant? That would be a pennant where this flat line is and that line right there. So if you kind of ignore this line, you kind of ignore that line, that flat line right there along with that down line would be considered a pennant. I thought pennant was... Yeah, see? You're fucking wrong, S&B Capital. I don't know, SMB. But they're talking about a bearish pennant though in that video, I guess. So basically, it is, if AMD is setting up as a pennant according to them, a flat line bottom where the bottoms are all matching up and we have a trend line on the upside, then it, according to them,
is a defined amount
maybe it's a bullish pennant, I don't know,
or demand at a specific level. You should very easily be able to connect those lows, and it should be flat. You're looking again for 3 tests at least of the lows, and ideally 2 tests. It
doesn't matter what it's called at the end of the day. You just want to understand the idea. So he's explaining the idea behind it. So let's say the stock opened up, right? You got the opening drive. Let's say that opening drive was 1 ATR worth of move. So 1 move, 1 full ATR. Now you're watching it pull back into VWAP. Bouncing off of VWAP. Bouncing off of VWAP. Bouncing off of VWAP. Basically showing you that VWAP has a consistent buyer after the initial drive up. So there's still a lot of buying momentum and at a pretty horizontal level, which is more important than a diagonal level.
1 less test of the highs than of the lows.
Okay, so for it to be bullish, he wants to see one less test of the highs than of the lows. Basically showing you that the lows keep getting tested and they keep passing the test, but the highs after the lows passing the test should not even get tested. So after the highs test, and the lows test, the lows get tested 1, 2, 3, 4. The highs goes 1, 2, 3, 4.
So we have our defined low.
Maybe
then you
only
go to
3.
The point where it starts. It should be very, very, very clear. It should be very distinct and very clear. This is a great observational top of a potential pennant, if that was to be a pennant. It just stands out from everything else. The highs should connect to that downsloping line and be easily connectable. The way you're going to trade a pennant breakout is you're going to trade and buy above the high of the trend line. The best ones will occur on really strong volume. But this pattern, unlike a flag, tends to lead more towards momentum building than a big strong break right from there. So what you're thinking of on this is you're going to have to move your shot clock out a little bit because it's likely that the downtrend has now potentially turned into an uptrend. So you don't want to have extreme expectations. You just want to see it start to make higher lows and higher highs.
Got it. That's what I said about the thing too on AMD. Did I not? I said that exact same thing on AMD. After it breaks out, you can take the breakout and be a monkey, but you can also wait for it to show you a higher low, higher high, because it clearly shows the pattern on the chart for longer term players that, hey, there were fighters here. They fought. These guys won. These guys lost. So the people who lost, if they have any brain cells, they're going to wait at a different price. So we have a little bit of a room over here to get played with. And that's why you join that party on a higher low, higher high. Basically, he's saying what I'm saying, but he's talking about a pennant needing to be a flat bottom. I think he's wrong on that. He doesn't know his own indicators at this point, but the idea is the same thing.
If it has a lot of volume, it's really going to accelerate to the upside. But don't let that be your expectation. Think about it as a move that's going to continue to build to the upside. The third and final very visual high probability pattern, which is one that you'll see more traders like on the desk than probably the other two, is a very distinct wedge pattern.
Kind of like what an AMD pattern was, I guess.
Encompasses way more volatility than the other two, which is what we really, really like about it. It also has far more of a directional focus, because if it breaks in either direction, you can expect it to be a fast, powerful, sustained move. You identify it by looking for, start with the bottom, look for an easily connectable, usually again, 3 mini points there that are easily connectable and upsloping. On the top, you want at least 2, maybe 3, but ideally 1 less than however many points are at the bottom. And again, you want that to be downsloping. You want there to be a good amount of volatility. For this, you want the angle to be somewhere between 15 and maybe 45 degrees. Sometimes even a little bit more than that. But you want it to come to a concrete
Bro, what are you
point.
Fucking pulling out a protractor to measure this? Come on, man. No one's pulling out a protractor to measure this at the time of a trade.
Volatility compress as the move continues to build out. And then you're looking for an abrupt, aggressive volatility expansion out of this. Paired with high volume, that's the best version of it. And you're looking for a fast move initially. Puts you in the money very fast. You're buying above the high of the downtrend, the break of the downtrend line. Your stop is below the downtrend line, right? So it's kind of a weird moving stop with it. You're expecting to be in the money quickly on high volume. If it pulls back, you're expecting the pullback to be less than 1/2.
Basic patterns, move. Basic flag breakouts, pennant breakouts.
Starts to go up and use that as a mental stop. But then you're looking for continuation to the upside. This is usually a 2-leg move when you get it. But those 3 are very clear, very distinct, very simple because they're so visual. Price action patterns that you could just practice drawing on your charts all day and observe how the price action plays out each time.
All right, that's the video by SMB Capital on price action patterns that we might need to be understanding a little bit more. He might call a pennant different than what I call a pennant, but the idea is still the same, right? He also talked about waiting for the pullback after the breakout instead of just kind of blindly taking a breakout. Who cares what it's called or whatever? Understanding the concepts is the most important thing. That way, if you see it, you can apply it elsewhere. The next one over here we have is an in-depth guide on mastering supply and demand, which is basically what my trading is. Understanding supply, understanding demand, looking at resistances, looking at supports, and then waiting to see if previous resistances can show selling again, or do previous resistances turn into supports, and vice versa. So this video over here talks about the in-depth market guide for supply and demand in 2024. I'm just wondering if we should watch this now or maybe save this one for tomorrow, because we're kind of running late on the day today. It's 9:34 p.m. What do you guys think? You guys want to watch it now, or you guys want to learn about this video tomorrow with me after tomorrow's watch list? Let me know what you guys think. In the meantime, I'll kind of scrounge through my pages over here, see if there's anything that I'm missing out. Ooh, IPO calendar. Any IPOs coming out? Looks pretty dead to me in February. Nothing else in February over here for the IPO calendar. The Chicago Mercantile Tool. I'm pretty sure that's what it means, but I could be wrong on that one. CME Group. Let's go see when the next FOMC date is. I think it's on March something, so we still got some time for that one. And the next one's in May. Yeah, so it should be March. This page is lagging, does not want to load. So that's that, I guess. So in that case, I guess I'll just kind of walk you guys through my social media and kind of just wrap it up for the day. T8 says either. I think we'll kind of call it. It's 9:34. It's getting a little late for you guys. I doubt you guys will even pay attention to a 20-minute video. Honestly, I doubt I will pay attention to a 20-minute video at 9:30 at this time. It's time to call it a night. But yeah, guys, go check out my link tree. I'll post it in the chat over here. If you haven't followed me already on all of my social media, if you haven't followed me at all on my social media, go check out that link page. You will find all the appropriate links to all of my information: YouTube, Twitter, Discord, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, all the social media right up top over here. All the affiliate sponsors for me, make sure you use the codes along with them. For Trade Ideas and Trader Sync, use code PRAD15 to get 15% off. Benzinga, along with a couple other fun stuff such as Cameo. If Valentine's Day is coming up, if you want me to wish your girlfriend, your wife, your boyfriend, I don't know, whoever it is that you want me to wish a very, very lovely Valentine's Day, wink, 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 then, go check out my Cameo, sign up on my Cameo, request a video from me. I'll come up with some fun poem or fun meme or some funny way to wish your loved ones a happy Valentine. So make sure you go check that one out if you're interested in that. And last but not least, I am building my merch store, something that Dieter and I were working on a long time ago, but they kind of got side railed. But I'm also working on my merch store, so go check that one out. Coming out very soon with some new fun stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all she wrote for today's watch list. Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode, and make sure you come back tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow for sure. And we have a video that we already know what we're going to watch. So tune in tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you want my watch list sent out to you in pre-market, make sure you go check out my Patreon. There's other added benefits on Patreon too if you choose to support me on Patreon. You can also choose to support me on YouTube by becoming a member. It's up to you. Optional, obviously. Optional if you want to be a member. It's also optional if you want to hit the like and subscribe. But it will mean the world to me if you hit that like and subscribe, because I am working ridiculously hard here to grow this channel. We're only 114 subs away from 1K, so we're very, very close. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe yet, please do so. It would mean the world to me. And if you haven't shared it with your friends and family, if you haven't told some of your other friends on the other place that TraderPrad has a stream, so people like Chef Joe can come find me, then make sure you spread the word that your Reverend Prad is holding a sermon every day, Monday to Thursday, and on Sunday night service coming out just for you at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Have an even better trading session. Catch me on Discord for the live trading tomorrow, where we'll be sitting in chat and kind of going through my stocks that I'll be trading, and going through other people's stocks that they might be trading and giving them their opinions on it. So if you want to join on that, tomorrow, Discord, 9 o'clock. Be there or be square. All right, guys. Have a great night. Good night. Catch you guys next time. Actually forgot to open up this page. Where's this page? Give me a second, chat. I'm panicking. Oh no, that's not it. Oh no, I'm gonna get banned. Okay, this is it. I gotta take my headphones out before I go deaf. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night. I love you. Peace.